Let's go.
So welcome back, fail-safe investors. I just want you to know if you do ask, you shall receive. So I'm doing this video to help a couple people out because I know a lot of people are new to this whole investing thing. A lot of people just probably just open up their brokerage account, started investing, and you know how to buy a company, you know how to analyze a company, but then the big question still remains, at what point do you sell a stock? So that answer is gonna vary. Each person's gonna have their own answer pretty much. So I'm pretty much gonna give you my reason for why I would sell a stock. So when I buy a stock, the first thing I'm thinking is I want to own this company, so I'm gonna hold it as long as I can. So you don't really wanna buy a stock with the intent of buying it just for profit, because imagine buying a company like, let's say Netflix. Imagine buying Netflix when it was selling for $3 and then it went to $100 a share, and then you jump out just so you can take your profit. Now you pretty much lost out on everything from $100 a share to $400 a share. So there are ways to strategically sell to where you can pretty much take your money out or your initial investment out and then they just play with house money, is what they say. So you don't never really want to fully sell a stock. So I'm just gonna give you an example. Let's say you buy Company X selling for like $10 a share. You invested $100 in, so you have 10 shares, right? So then Company X goes up to $20 a share. A smart thing to do would just be pull out your initial investment of $100 and then let the rest of the investment that's in there continue to grow. That would be a smart thing to do right there. Another thing to do is pretty much put a stop loss on that company right there. So a stop loss is exactly how it sounds. So you could even put a stop loss when you purchase the company. Let's say it's at $10 a share and it's trending upward fast. So you want to catch it at $11 a share before it hits 12. So you can put in either a limit order or a stop loss order and then you put in the price that you want to purchase it at, how many shares you want to purchase at that price. And what it'll do is you don't have to look at it all day. The second that it passes that $11 or $12 a share, or the second that it passed that $11, it automatically just buys it. You receive a confirmation that you've bought so and so many shares. So it's a great way to pretty much cap off your losses. So it's the same thing when you own a stock and it's pretty much trading high and you want to get out before it goes all the way down. But even in volatility, you still want to try to hold on to a stock as much as you can. It is true what they say, you buy low and sell high. So that's just my opinion on when to sell a stock. Like I said, generally you do not want to sell a stock unless it's for like emergencies where you need to sell a stock to pay for something, or like if you want to take a big vacation, you sell some stock, but you never really want to get out of a stock, because then the question is, why did you buy it? And if you just bought it for profit, the second that it goes up just a little bit, you can think that you took that profit and you pretty much lost out on all the profit from there on. So like I said, you definitely want to analyze a company before you jump into a company. I've mentioned that before, because that gives you the confidence to stay in the company if it goes down. But that also gives you an understanding of the company to know the actual value of the company. And then the discount cash flow is another limit or another reference point to sell a stock. Every company or every stock has what's called a fair value, right? And there are a couple ways to achieve this fair value. And there are a lot of like calculators out there. You can do it yourself. Me personally, I would just type in the ticker symbol that I'm looking up and then fair value behind it. And if not fair value, you can type in intrinsic value. And it's pretty much the same thing. Fair value and intrinsic value is the same thing. It's just you get a better reading when you type in intrinsic value. So the intrinsic value of a company is pretty much what they do is they take the earnings per share or the earnings of that company, what it's bringing in, and then they take the Fed's current interest rate and then they project that out over 5 years or sometimes 10 years, depending on what calculator you're using. And what they do is they calculate the amount of income that will continue to be generated, and then the return that will come from that. So how much that this company is going up and up and up, and then they'll average that out over like 5 or 10 years, and then they'll pretty much zero it back to the date that you're pretty much looking at that company, and they can give you an estimate of the actual true value of each share. So a lot of people think that the price that the share is listed for is the true intrinsic value of those companies, but it's not. You would be surprised at a lot of companies you look into, but that's another way to pretty much tell how much a company's actually worth, and that's also another reference point to sell a stock. So usually a lot of analysts will tell you like you want to buy under the fair value at a margin of safety, and then sell when it gets close to or hits their fair value. So a lot of companies that I'm investing in right now, I'm definitely buying at a margin of safety. I'm under the fair value, I'm under the intrinsic value. And I'm kind of thinking like that, once it gets close to that intrinsic value and fair value, then I will start to sell off. But even that changes, because if a company starts to bring in more money, then you might want to go and look at the intrinsic value again and pretty much keep up to date on that, and like do your own discount cash flow estimate on a company, and then see like how much it's actually worth, to see like is it worth selling. But you definitely want to start to sell off when it gets to like that fair and intrinsic value. And the reason for that, from what I found out, is that's when a lot of like investors kind of get out and they take their profits. So like even if you watch like CNBC, Boom Buzz, Bloomberg, all of them would like have conversations about when to take profits. And it's usually around when a company gets to that fair value or intrinsic value like price. So that's just a couple tips on like when to sell a company. Like I said, I will say this again, I've said it before, you really don't want to sell a company, but usually when it gets close to that fair value or intrinsic value, that's pretty much a good time to get out. Take your profits, get out and invest in another company. So that's it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. More videos like this will come soon. I'm trying to do a little bit more on my channel, expand it, have more ideas, leave some comments on ideas that you might want to see on this channel, or topics that you might want to see on this channel, and let's do it.